Hey everyone, this is Kyle from the TF Review, and welcome back to another edition of Megazord Monday. And in this episode, we're heading back to 1996 as we look at the Zeo Megazord from Power Rangers Zeo. So, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this video review. So, here we have the Core 5 Zeo Zords, and in this show they don't really have names, they just go by Zeo Zord 1, Zeo Zord 2, Zeo Zord 3, Zeo Zord 4, and of course, Zeo Zord 5. Though they do each kind of represent mythological things, these represent sort of ancient, mysterious statues. This represents a Sphinx in some ways. This represents a bull. I don't know the relevance, but it does. And this, of course, represents a phoenix. And that info is kind of based on their Japanese counterparts from the Super Sentai version of the show, which has kind of been translated again here. Now, this was done at a time when the American and the Japanese versions shared the same mold. For the most part, the Zords are identical with a few small exceptions. Anywhere that you see molded gold plastic, like right here and the boob things, and the feet of the Sphinx, those are actually also done in the same chrome that the Sphinx and the horns were done in. So really the only difference was a bit more chrome, and I believe the strings down here in Zeo Zord 1 and 2 were chains. I don't remember 100%, but I'm 99% sure that's how it was in the Japanese version. Taking a closer look at each of them, we're going to go ahead and look at Zeo Zord 1 and 2 first. Zeo Zord 1 and Zeo Zord 2 are piloted by the Pink and the Yellow Rangers. I am very hesitant about calling them Zords at all, since they both lack the ability to roll on their own in the show. They both needed to be pulled by the Sphinx and the Bull, and that's kind of pathetic. So in essence, they're just more or less heavily armored turrets. Speaking of heavily armored, they both have weapon gimmicks, not just the helmets, but when you turn it around, you'll notice there's a little yellow button on both of them. When you push it upwards, Zeo Zord 1 opens up some missile spam, and Zeo Zord 2 launches some nice little cannons. And now we can kind of see more what they represent. This one represents a Moai statue, kind of like the ones found at Easter Island, where there's like these mysterious heads that are just embedded into the ground, and there's like 10 of them in a row. And no one knows what they're for or who they built them and all sorts of mysterious stuff. And this one represents a Japanese dogu. And a lot like this one, if you look it up on Wikipedia, I guess the existence of dogu statues is still somewhat of a mystery, just speculation. So that's kind of interesting that these both, in ways, represent mythological, kind of ancient mysteries. And that's that. And that's really all you get. We'll look at these a little bit more when we look at the chain gimmick, or the pulling mode gimmick, whatever it's called. But for the most part, that's it for those two. Next up is the Sphinx. And the Sphinx is really a nice looking Zord. It's molded mostly in blue and black plastic, but it does have a really nice, very strong chrome finish. That ages really well. I've seen a lot of times where this Zord actually just looks great on a lot of the ones you can find on eBay and for sale posts and whatnot. So that's something that's really well done, and mine, no exception, took pretty good care of it. And it does have a good amount of articulation. The mouth can open and close. It can bend, even though you can't really pose it or get anything substantial at his front leg, and his back legs do bend, and there's a bit of feet articulation if that's what you want. That's kind of what you're into. And the tail can move up and down. and wag, and that's basically it for the Sphinx mode. The bull mode is a little bit more useless. The only articulation it has right here is the tail, the tiny little, dinky little tail, and that's really it. It's mostly hollow inside. Now, the big issue with this one is that the head falls off very easily. And these heads, the main gimmick of this toy is that each one has a removable head, like this back here, and then there's another one down here. And when you put it onto the main Megazord, it has a special power. The issue is that the main head on the bull is also the helmet, and the connection in it is really terrible. So it just pop off really easily, and these do get lost very easily, which stinks because the bull is a very substantial feature in the actual final Megazord. Last but not least, we have Zeo Zord 5, which is the Sky Phoenix. And the Sky Phoenix is Tommy's Zord, obviously. It's the only one that was molded in red plastic, and it doesn't have too much articulation, just the wings are ratcheted and do have a couple detents, and the legs can move forward and down, and the feet can rotate. What I really like about this is it's a good size for a kid's hand, and it's got a great whooshability factor rating, something that I love. So this was always one of my favorites of the set. And it's got a lot of stickers on it, and luckily the stickers on mine are in relatively amazing good shape. But in essence, it's just a little red bird with a little jet cockpit. No movable mouth, nothing like that. It's pretty simple, but it's a lot of fun. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Dogu and the Moai, even though I got those completely backwards, Moai, Dogu, in the show, they do lack the ability to roll entirely. So they need to be pulled by these two. And it's kind of teamed up. The Moai teams up with the Sphinx. And in the front, there's a little compartment. And there are these gold strings that pull out. You can just close the compartment back up. And then you can actually just peg this in right here. There's two little peg holes. You just peg the strings like that, and then in the show the Sphinx would pull it just like that, and that is how literally whenever these things were mobile, that's just how they were. And you can just pull it out of the way, and the bull and the Dogu would team up in exactly the same way. You got the gold strings, just fold that up, these peg into the sides of the bull just like this. And just like this. And the bull would go ahead and pull it out of the way. So in the show, it would look really sad. But this is essentially what it looked like when they were being pulled. And this guy would just be chilling up there, you know, flying around and, you know, just looking like a hard ass. Now, the transformation is, for the most part, pretty easy. You first want to start off with the 2 feet, the 2 statues, and you want to conceal these weapons. So you just push them back in, and then you want to fold these guns back to the side, lock it like that. And then you want to do something about these helmets. And these helmets can fold either back like that, that's one way to do it, or if you want, you can completely remove the helmets and then peg them back in. And this way looks a little bit cleaner, in my opinion, so that's how I'm going to do it. Of course, when you get yours, you can do it however you want. This is just how I like to do mine. And you want to flip them over. They go like this. And then we can take these and we can put these to the side just for a moment. Then we want to take the bull, and the first thing we need to do with the bull is flip his tail up and get that concealed. And you'll notice these 2 little clips, or these 2 little pincher piece thingamajigs. What you need to do is you need to take them, pinch them, and then it just slides forward like that. And then let go. And then now it's one solid piece. And these connect into the legs in a very unique way, not common in most Megazords. You just want to take it, and then it just rotates into place, which is really cool, and it's a nice very, very firm connection. You don't even have to worry about like it breaking or anything. I mean, it'll break, but you can shake it and it won't. Next up is the Sphinx Zord. And all you need to do is take this, fold these pieces out, and then we want to remove the helmet back here. And we can just put that to the side for now. Then what we want to do is we want to take this little panel, there's a little panel, and we need to fold it downwards, like that. And then what we can do, I like to keep the mouth open, I just like the way that looks. Fold the feet, pull the arms down, and then situate the hands so they don't look terrible. Do the same thing, situate the hands, don't look terrible. Rotate them. And that is that. Then what we do is we take this piece, and we just take this piece, and it literally drops into place and locks in really strong. It's a nice firm connection. I dig it. Last but not least is the Phoenix. In the Phoenix, we first need to remove the helmet right here. You can put that to the side for now. And then we want to take the feet and just fold them up. And then fold this little back panel up. And we'll notice there's a little head in there. Hi, Mr. Head. And that just folds out like that and locks into place. And we take the wings. We can fold them down. We can take this guy. And then in the show, it kind of like that. So we just take it. And my phone's beeping again. And we just peg it into place like that. Then if we want, for storage, we can take this right here. We can peg it back here if we wanted to. We could literally peg this in a number of different places. It really doesn't matter. We can peg it up like this. But just for extra storage, you know, whatever you like. Again, you can do whatever you want. Then we want to take this tail, fold it back. I forgot about that. And last but not least, we take the main head, which came off the Phoenix, or the little Firebird, and that just pegs into place like that. And that right there is our Zeo Megazord. And here we have the Zeo Megazord in all of its glory. Now, this is one of my favorite Megazords as a kid, just because I loved the way it looked. The chrome looks amazing, and it still looks amazing today, even for a toy that is almost 20 years old. It really held the test of time very well. The only thing I think I really didn't like, or at least now I don't like it, when I was a kid I didn't care, but now I don't know how I feel about the helmet, the main helmet, because it just looks a little bit funny. There's something about the whole thing being blue and gold and black, and then the helmet just randomly being red, that doesn't strike me. I don't know, it just doesn't sit with me that well. Of course, it's iconic to the Zord, but again, it just kind of looks funny to me. At least in terms of the toy. So now that we have him in his final Megazord mode, this is actually a really good time to take a look at the main helmet gimmick. Each helmet had a different function and did something a little bit differently with the Zords. Starting with this helmet right here, which is the Warrior Mode helmet. And the main function of this one was, when the Megazord would wear it, it would summon the Zeo Megazord Saber. And then, of course, he would wield it. It would just fit right in his hands. And that would be that. The saber itself is pretty basic. It's just molded in gray plastic with a little bit of gold molded plastic right there to kind of match the rest of the Megazord. And that's it. It's pretty basic. You also had the Pyramid Mode helmet, which would give the actual Megazord, when wearing it, it would give him telekinetic powers that would allow him to like lift up the enemies and slam them in the ground and throw them all over the place. And that was kind of cool and unique for Zeo. You also had the Rocket Mode helmet right here. And you would take these, and he would use these as blasters, or he would use them as like rocket packs whenever they would go into space. And that was kind of cool. You had the Cannon Mode helmet, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a big, heavy gun that would just do massive blasts out the top of it. And lastly, you had the Gravity helmet right here, or the Gravity Mode helmet. And what this would do is it would cause like a rage mode, where when he was wearing it, he would just bash the heck out of his enemies, and it would also fire like lightning bolts and stuff out of the top. And that was pretty cool to see from time to time. And it's getting remarkably stormy outside all of a sudden. For articulation, this Megazord has a lot of it. The arms can move in and out, you can bend, the hands got rotational jointage, and that's insane for a Megazord, and that's basically it for articulation. But even that is a lot for a Megazord. Generally, these things are bricks, but with this, you actually can get some cool poses. So I do dig that a lot. Another neat thing you can do with this Megazord is the wings of the Falcon can actually, the wings of the Firebird thing can actually fold up to form wings of the actual Megazord itself. I don't know if you can see that really all that well. Let me see if I can... You can kind of see the wings. That doesn't really do anything for the aesthetic, but it just adds wings, maybe a little bit of playability. But apart from that, that doesn't do much. But you can do it. Last but not least, for a quick size comparison, here it is next to the Thunder Megazord. It is significantly smaller, but it is a decent sized Megazord. And of course, arms might want to pull down like that. It's not a bad size. I'd say it's definitely over 12 inches or so. And it feels nice in the hand. I do think that the Thunder Megazord is completely oversized. So there's also that fact as well. And that does it, my friends, for the Zeo Megazord. One of my favorite Megazords as I was a kid. Some of my fondest memories are with this toy. This was actually, believe it or not, the last Megazord I ever got when I was in my MMPR phase as a kid. I do think this Megazord is just as iconic as any of the MMPR. I know it's Zeo, which isn't technically MMPR, but it really had the same impact in my life as the MMPR Zords, so to me, this one is just as important and just as worth having. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. I post new Megazord reviews every Monday for my Megazord Monday series, and I've got another one coming next week. So, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video review.